Hi, right. Today I am making a Mother's Day memorial card. Um, my mother passed away in December 2023 following complications after surgery, and therefore I don't need to make a Mother's Day card as such, but I thought it would be nice to take something to the grave. So I'm going to make I suppose is a memorial card and laminate it for so that it'll be okay outside. So I have pulled together some Pink Frog stamps. I have taken out the chrysanthemum stamps that I want to use, and I have printed off. I might use the butterfly wishes as well, some of the texture stamps, and maybe one of the smaller butterflies at some point. And I have printed out and cut out a poem, which was "My Mother Kept a Garden," and this was the poem that I asked I asked to be read out at the funeral. Didn't quite have the courage or standing to do it myself, but he did read it out well. So I'm going to, unfortunately my printer didn't want to play ball and print it on the media paper, which was a better colour match to the watercolour paper I'm using, but I'll work with it and maybe distress it up a bit to or colour it up so that it fits in better than the stark white that it is. But we'll work on that later. I've got my watercolours, and I've mixed up the alizarin crimson and the cadmium red, and made a green with the lemon yellow, raw sienna, ultramarine. Yeah, I think that's what I used. So that's the intention. I've got some I've got my Versafine Clair Tulip Red, Glamorous and Shady Lane to stamp the images, and I've cut out some masks, and I've got my watercolour brushes. At the moment I've pulled out the Pro Art Scholar 6 and 8, and I've got my Matthew Palmer Super Point brush small, so we're going to see if they're the right sizes, and some stamping blocks, and watercolour paper is just a practice paper block from the SAA, so we're going to use that and see where it takes us. Got a vague design idea in my head, but it may not work out, or I may adjust it as we go along, but that's the plan. So I will set some music and I'll see you at the other side. Okay, so I have, I think, finished what finished the card, and I'm going to go away and laminate it now. And yeah, and I think I quite like that. So yeah. Obviously this could be made into a mother's card with the chrysanthemums if that was, you know, for those of you that need to make a mother's card, but Mother's Day card. So yeah, so anyway, I hope you like it, and I'll see you at the next video. Take care, bye.